4 of the fantasy basketball season is on its way this week, but here's a few centers that shouldn't be on your roster going into the week. The first guy is Thomas Bryant of the Washington Wizards, and it's unfortunate Bryant got hurt with a torn ACL, and he's out for the season. So in redraft leagues, obviously you drop him, and dynasty and keeper leagues, maybe you keep him if you don't have better options at all. But right here, Thomas Bryant, it was a big blow to the Washington Wizards and obviously to fantasy owners. And so far this season, he was having a good year, Bryant. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 1.5 assists, with 0.9 threes a game, and he was shooting a whopping 64% from the field. So Bryant, he had a few big games this season, a few 20-plus games, and it's a big hit for fantasy owners where they were getting big production from him. And Bryant now, the last couple seasons, he just couldn't stay healthy for whatever reason. I know it's tough to be a big man in basketball, especially in the NBA, obviously, and he just got hurt, and things were unfortunate. So Thomas Bryant next year, hopefully he comes back at 100%, but right now he's a player droppable in fantasy leagues. The second guy is Deandre Jordan of the Brooklyn Nets. Jordan, I believe he was on the list last week, and once again, he's on it here again. He's just not playing major minutes. His minutes the last few games now. January 5th, he only played 9 minutes, 5 points, 4 boards. January 7th, 18 minutes, 2 points, 11 rebounds. January 8th, 17 minutes, 4 points, 5 boards. And last night versus OKC, 10 minutes, 4 points, 1 rebound. So he's not getting the job done. His minutes per game are obviously way down. And Jared Allen, the time is now for Brooklyn to play this guy. And he's a walking double-double, Jared Allen. He's more productive than Deandre Jordan at this point in their career. So I think Deandre Jordan, he's going to be a veteran presence. He's going to be a mentor. But he's going to take a back seat right now. And he's a player that should be dropped in pretty much every fantasy league. And somehow he's still owned in 46% of fantasy leagues. And the final center I would drop this week's Naz Reid of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Karl Anthony Towns, he came back on Saturday, which was a good sign. And then Sunday he sat out because of the back-to-back. But Naz Reid, he's been putting up some decent numbers even since Towns has come back. But right now he's a player I wouldn't recommend to have on your fantasy roster. But Reid so far this season, he's had good averages. 11 points, 4.5 rebounds a game, and an assist a game with a 3, with 54% from the field. So Reid, he's been decent. He's putting up numbers like I said, but before Karl Anthony Towns got hurt, he wasn't doing much of anything for the Timberwolves or fantasy owners. So now Reid, I think it's safe to put him back on the fantasy wire. He's only going to play anywhere from 15 to 18 minutes, and I don't think the production or the longevity of him producing is going to be there with Towns back in the lineup. But if Towns gets hurt once again, obviously he's worth an ad in fantasy leagues. But right now, I think it's safe to drop him. So that's a few players I would drop here at center heading into week 4 of the fantasy basketball season.